Hey everybody, welcome to episode 25. I believe it's 25. Yeah, wow. 25 episodes already. That means that's what, just over a month and a week. That's pretty crazy. Anyways, today I'm going to talk about the Asgard Wars, which is it's an X-Men crossover, I guess. Yeah, it is, but it's more of a special event type of thing that they kind of squeezed into a couple of. There's an annual, a giant-sized annual of X-Men #9. There's a New Mutants Special Edition, and then there was a X-Men and Alpha Flight crossover, like 4-issue limited series. So wasn't really in the mainline series of the X-Men or New Mutants comics or even Alpha Flight, but it kind of took place on the side in the peripherals. This is the graphic novel. This is not my original, but I did have this when it came out. I got this the summer of '88. I remember specifically because I think I got it. I can't remember where I got it. I'm on a Comics Corner wasn't there yet. I think I picked it up at a bookstore, maybe. If not, I got it at probably Time Travel. No, it wasn't Time Travelers yet. Yeah, I'm trying to think where I got this. This particular copy I bought off of eBay. I think I paid like $15 for it or something. It was $15.95 cover back in '88. The comics it covers had just come out in '85, '86ish, right around there. So. Came out a couple of years after those comics, and they collected it. This is when they first started collecting stuff like this in these graphic novels, these big ones. I started to get a couple of. I had a couple of other ones, and I still have another one I'm going to cover, which also pertains to not necessarily this story, but pertains to the artist Arthur Adams. It's an Arthur Adams cover, but so I'm gonna skip the first part of the book. Because it is chapter 1 is the 4-issue limited series of the X-Men and Alpha Flight. It's not bad. Paul Smith does the art. I believe Claremont wrote all this. Pretty sure. Yeah, Claremont wrote it all. Paul Smith does the penciling. Bob Wasiek does. Or Wycheck, or how you want to pronounce his name, is the inker on that, which is called The Gift, which is part 1 and part 2. Yeah, The Gift. I'm going to skip over that because, I'm not going to get into the story per se of this. What I want to do is I want to talk to you about specifically Arthur Adams and in relation to this, because this is pretty much where I started to this really solidified my love of Arthur Adams' art. So he pretty much does the second half of the book, starting with chapter 3, which I believe is called Home Where the Heart Is. Is that what they call it? Yeah, Home is Where the Heart Is, and then There's No Place Like Home, which are both written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Arthur Adams. Terry Austin inks the X-Men annual, because he was inking X-Men at the time, and then looks like Al Gordon, Mike Mignola, and Arthur Adams all ink the New Mutants Special, which is the No Place Like Home. So I'm going to go over those two comics specifically, the X-Men Annual and the New Mutants Special. I just wanted to show you this. I was wondering what to do for a video, and I was going through my bookshelf, and I pulled this down because I'm going to reread it again. Just going to put it in my reading stack. I haven't read it, and I think I read this about 4 years ago. I pulled it down and read it again. I usually just read that as my reading copy. The only comic I have of that series is this one here, X-Men Annual #9. Now I remember this one pretty vividly. I didn't get this when it came out. I don't know why. But I ended up getting this. There was a comic shop over by Lakeside Mall. It's actually on Garfield Road, which I guess would have been Clinton Township, and they had this newish comic shop. My dad had taken me to it. No, I don't think my dad had taken me to this one yet. I think it's still brand new. They had not really a grand opening, but they had a big sale, and they kind of announced it with flyers at the conventions. And I had a friend who was older than me. I think he was out of high school at the time. No, he was still in high school. He was a couple of years older than me. He ended up driving me over there one night. It was really snowing really bad. It wasn't really accumulated, but it was just coming down. It was coming down like crazy, and he drove out there from Rochester, and then felt kind of not bad for the guy, but I mean when I got there, my other buddy was there from school, and the line was really long, so you kind of had to get in line pretty quick, and we were in line for at least an hour, getting checked out, because there's just a huge line of people. And as we're going through, kind of taking turns running around the store and getting back in line, and my other buddy from high school was there, and I was kind of talking to him a lot, and then my other buddy, who really wasn't into comics, he just kind of gave me a lift out there. He kind of was bored, so I kind of felt sorry for him a little bit, but I wasn't trying to blow him off or anything. It's just me and the other guy were talking about comics, and we're both looking to buy something. My other buddy, the one I was talking to, he was going to spend a lot of money. I think he bought X-Men number, original X-Men, like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, number 12. Whatever one had the red cover, I can't remember what it was. I think it was Juggernaut on the cover, Magneto. It was an all-red cover, slipping my mind. I don't know those comics that well, because, to me, it's the new X-Men, the 75 Claremont stuff. So that original, I read through a bunch of them. I think I read through the first 20. I couldn't tell you which comic that was, but they were very memorable, and most people kind of thought that way as well. It wasn't until the all new X-Men when people really started to pay attention to it. So this is also, I don't have any of those old comics that I had. So every time I hold something up, it's probably something I've acquired in the last 10, 15, 20 years. So this is I think I paid $12 for it. I think I paid $6 for the other one back then. Yeah, and that was kind of pricey for a comic, back in, it would have been 87, 88. It was 88. It was winter of 88, actually, now that I think about it. But this is the only one I have. My New Mutants Special Edition ended up selling off on eBay when I was doing a big sell-off. And I had the limited series of Alpha Flight and X-Men, but not in a long time. I had those a while ago. But again, I don't really, I mean, it's nice to have some of the copies, the original copies, but I don't really care so much what edition I have of it. As long as, I take that back. I care, which edition. So if one edition was better than the other, was recolored or something like that, I want the one I want the most. But as far as, an actual comic of the, I don't really have to have it. I could take a graphic novel. I'd actually prefer better paper. And, I love newsprint, but I prefer, for the long haul and for reading purposes to have a better paper, something like this. Because this is, this is obviously printed on a... I still believe this is thicker than Hudson paper. Hudson paper is what they used for some of the higher format books in Marvel that were coming out towards the late 80s. And I don't believe this is Hudson paper. Hudson paper has a specific feel to it. This is too thicker. This is probably the standard graphic novel fare. I don't know who the manufacturer was of the paper. But, and I don't even know if this is Marvel Comics. I don't know if Marvel Comics printed these. They might have been outsourced to a company that did graphic novels. They didn't do them on the big Marvel printing presses. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to switch over to the PDFs. I've pulled up two here. I keep saying PDFs. The CBRs, comic book reader files. I'm going to switch over to there so you guys can see this up close here. So, there we go. Sorry. So let's start with this one. This is the X-Men Annual number 9. I think the first Adams annual I got was number 10, the one with Longshot in it. I think that's why I had to go back and purchase this, because I just missed it when I was collecting X-Men. Um, and again, I'm going to do the Long Shot. I got the Long Shot graphic novel too, and I got stories about Long Shot too, and that was another pivotal comic book. I've got to say, probably in the 80s and maybe even into the early 90s, but mostly the 80s. Arthur Adams was probably the key artist for me. Um, Looking back on his stuff, or even on his current stuff, now I'm not a fan of his current artwork, but this particular stuff back in the day really spoke to me. I don't know if it does today. Looking back on it, I don't. There's certain things I like about it, and certain things I just kind of like, eh. And I'll get to some of those when we're in these. But at the time, I mean, you couldn't. I was Arthur Adams all the way. And I tried to emulate him all the time. Me and my other buddies that drew, we did. I mean, that was always the thing. Let's draw it the Arthur Adams way, or it's I'm gonna do an Arthur Adams version of this. So it's Arthur Adams just became like an adjective, just to describe what you were doing at the time or what you wanted to draw. You would see his Arthur Adams version of a character, and then you try to pick a character Adams didn't do and do an Arthur Adams version of him or her. So it was, this is before McFarlane caught on. This is before Liefeld. So Adams was really the one doing that kind of. I mean, Adams didn't become a image guy, but he kind of started that ball rolling. I mean, like J. Scott Campbell is a good example. I mean, his stuff. Everybody says, hey, he's just a Jim Lee ripoff, and even Campbell himself would say, you got it wrong, I'm an Arthur Adams ripoff, so he was obviously somebody who had the same mindset as we did back then. We just didn't go on to fame and fortune like he did. So let's get into it here. There we go. First off, I love these. I did a version of this in a comic I did. I wanted to do like a page lineup, header lineup like this. I love these little header lineups. Again, let me blow this up. I know probably my little box will run into it, but I think it's just, not that big. I think it's just easier. I think you can see the artwork better. But I love that. And then they got the nameplates underneath it, and they all kind of link together in this ribbon. I love this robe. Love this robe. Absolutely love this robe. Rachel's a little wonky looking there. Scott's a little wonky. Some of the first gen Arthur Adams art, it's raw, and especially when I get into the Long Shot limited series, I'll point out there's a lot of wonkiness in that, right? Which was fine. I mean, I didn't see it as much then. Now I see it a lot, the wonkiness. But over that, he had enough stylization to kind of cover up some of that wonkiness. Everybody else looks fine. Great Colossus. And the Shadowcat looks like that Shadowcat. He's done a version of her that looks too old, but this one looks like she's youthful, and she's shorter than everybody. Not that that means you're the youngest, but I mean, she just has that younger stature. Because Rachel's actually pretty young there, too. I mean, Storm's obviously the oldest of the females. Scott, I think, is the oldest male there. Oh, no, sorry, Wolverine. Well, of course Wolverine is. But Wolverine aside, of normal aged people, I think Cyclops is still the oldest there. I think he's that or Kurt Nightcrawler. So yeah, there's no place like home. And then here's the New Mutants lineup. Great lineup. I think everybody's pretty rock solid here. Her face she needs a little line there, I think, for her nose. Karma, she's got the Asian face. And I like that they're using the Asian color. I love how some of these colors denote different skin tones. That's more of an olive skin. And then they've got this more redder skin, that pink that they use for Dani, because she's Native American. Again, Dani's my favorite New Mutant. I think she looks amazing. I love the bangs. Love the straight hair and the bangs. It looks great. Cannonball's super tall. Got Crazy Warlock in the background. I mean, if anybody... I mean, Brett Blevins does a good Warlock, but I think Arthur Adams really takes Warlock to another level. And you might see some of that in here as well. Let's just kind of roll through this. Great Colossus. like the transition of him coming through the door and then transforming. A Wolverine or Rogue comes flying out. And there's Rachel. Let's see here. Again, I'm not gonna go through the story per se. I'm looking at this from an artist's point of view, not as a reader or a writer. So I just key into all this visual storytelling is all I need. I don't really need to read the words to know what's going on. But I, of course, obviously read words in a comic to find out exactly what people say, and especially if there's exposition or if there's things that they tell and don't show. But I'm try to be more of a show don't tell kind of person. I can't always do it. Neither can the pros. Let's see here. We got here good here, showing a little leg, like it. There's magic. There's a great storm when she's the Thor storm. I really like that. Of course, there's Enchantress and Loki's. Like I said, this Loki, I liked Loki in this one. I'm always hot and cold when it comes to Loki. Sometimes I don't care for him as a character. Sometimes I like him. It depends on what he's in. And this is one of those examples where I think, that I like him. I love that even these shorthand little small drawings from a distance. I mean, Rogue still has a nice everything about her's perfect. I think that's Jean Grey, I believe. Yeah, it's Jean Grey. Or is it Madeline Pryor? I can't remember. It's Jean Grey. Wait, Jean Grey dead at this time? Or is she back in X4 or X Factor? I'm just looking to see if they mention her name here. I forgot who that... It might be Madeline. I think it's Madeline Pryor, actually. Wait, she's pregnant? Yeah, it's Madeline Pryor. Okay. I love Rogue sitting in that beanbag chair. Wolverine kicking his feet up on the glass table. Oh, by the way, we had a glass... My dad had a glass table, coffee table like this, out at his trailer out in Lakeville, and there was an incident with the dog, and that thing came apart all at once, and the whole thing come crashing down and broke everywhere. There's glass everywhere. So those aren't the cool... They look cool, but those aren't very practical, especially if you have pets or children. Great Rogue here. This is where she started to really, she really started to get that. I call it the skunk hair. Obviously, she's always got the skunk hair, because skunk, meaning white stripe down her hair. But I call it skunk hair just because for some reason, skunk makes me think of it sticking up like that. I don't know why. I guess it'd be more porcupine hair, I guess, or whatever, even Wolverine hair, because it's kind of what Wolverine had going on, too. But I really liked that. And Arthur Adams, I think he was even better at doing it than Silvestri. Silvestri went a little too far with it sometimes. Adams seemed to know how to rein it in a bit. He does have this tendency to set the face on the neck kind of weird. It doesn't always do it, but sometimes in his earlier work, it just kind of looks weird. It's great drawing Rachel. Again, see how the neck and the head, I don't know what he's seeing through his eyes, but when I'm seeing this, I'm like, you could, obviously with digital, it's easier just to move this penciling it over before you ink it, kind of fix it a bit, but, you can't do it that easily back when you're working traditional. And again, I mean, he at this time, I think the long shot, which apparently took forever to do, was his longest thing he's ever done. So he's still kind of green at this time. And young and green. So he's going to make a lot of some of these little mistakes. I just think he has that style, down so well that it kind of covered up a lot of the wonkiness. And that's kind of what you have to do. Oh, this looks rough. I know they're doing here, but it's just coloring looks rough here. Is it that bad in the comic? Let me just double check real quick. Let's see. As far as the beginning. Am I in the right? It's chapter 3, right? No. Why do I feel like I'm missing something? Was the New Mutants? I guess the New Mutants is first before the other one. Okay, kind of doing this out of order. I am doing this out of order. I just always assumed it was the other way around, but that's not the case. Yeah, it's pretty rough in the comic too. Yeah, I mean, sometimes things in a script or some ideas don't translate very well to e-art. I mean, some artists can work magic with it. Some, and this guy's a good artist, so like I said, just certain things. Yeah, I really like. One thing he had really down really good is his camera angles were really nice. That's a nice camera angle there. There's Danny. There's Magic hanging out at the pool. I gotta say, if I was a young guy like this, which I was young at the time when this came out, and had to be at the pool all the time with all of these girls, I think I would have been out of my freaking mind. I probably lost my mind back then. Again, I mean, as it is, we hung out at the trailer park pool that summer, and there's a lot of girls around my age that were up at the pool too. Kind of lost my mind there too as well. So I have a very fond memory of this time in my life, including the comics, and the comics remind me of that. Yeah, so I gotta go through this super fast, but I think I'll pick up the pace a little bit here. I want to get to some of the more key drawings that I like. Again, he always does a solid Wolverine for almost every time. You never get really a bad Wolverine out of Arthur Adams. Even back in his earlier stuff, Great Hella. There's Rogue's hair again. See how that is? I just love that. I love how they do her hair. Kitty looks nice there. I mean, you can show some leg too. That actually showing leg. That's what tights are for. If people have an issue with that, I think you go out on any given day, you're gonna see, maybe not in the summer wear shorts, but definitely during the fall, you're gonna see, fall and spring, you're gonna see girls with, leggings on all the time. They don't seem to have any modesty when it comes to that. I don't understand why you can't just translate that stuff into the comic books as well. They did it back then, even back when that really wasn't a thing. Legs are a little too long on Danny there. Let's see. Great. That's a great face there. He really had that, like, I don't know if he started doing that long shot or whatever, but he really did that where he didn't draw any of the teeth in, which you shouldn't. I mean, you can, but I think it looks nice if you don't draw any of the teeth in. Big smile like that, the teeth are together, but the lips are apart. I guess it's a grin, I guess is what you'd call that. I just call it like a toothy smile. So he's drawing a little bit of teeth in here with Loki. But I always liked that. I have a tendency, when I draw mouths, I draw like the upper set of teeth, and sometimes I'll have, especially if they're talking, like in their mid-sentence, and they've got like the, their mouth's in a certain position, I'll probably show a little bit of the tongue, or the bottom of the mouth, or even like the throat. They really got their mouth wide open. It's a nice kitty face there. Doesn't look like Adams there. Doesn't look like his style. He must have been using a photo reference there, maybe, and it kind of got away from him a little bit. There we go. I love that. I say the Outback costume is my favorite, but I think I liked it better when she just had the all black bodysuit. She had the smaller kind of, Robin Hood boots, and then had just a top with a belt and didn't have any bottoms. I mean, she's wearing, a bodysuit, so she's not naked, but nothing to no underwear over top of it type of thing, or even shorts over top of it. I think I just like the all black. I like that, and there we go. So see, he's using blue to denote the rim lighting here. Sometimes you can use white. There's no rim lighting on this leg except for right there. It's got a little bit there, and the hand's closer to you because of foreshortening, so it's got a little more rim lighting on it. Yeah, I don't know. I like both costumes, but I don't know which one I like the best on her. I like them both. I probably just said that. Here we go. We get some crazy warlock action here. I like this costume on Danny. I mean, I'm not, the Thor thing's okay. I just like this color against that skin color. It looks nice. You know, she's showing a lot of leg there. Nice face on her. Again, I know she's always drawn with like a little bit larger nose. Not like a hook nose, but just she's got, you know, kind of a long nose. I don't know if that's a Native American thing. I haven't really studied a lot of Native American faces. I always thought Native Americans had kind of a shorter nose. You know, kind of like a, not a hook. I'm not trying to think a hook nose, but just kind of like I don't know how to squat or nose. But maybe they do have a larger, like a long bridge nose there. There you go. See that black? How that silhouettes there. It's so you've got Nightcrawler there silhouetting. You got a little bit of silhouetting on Cyclops there. Rogue's all silhouetting except for the green parts in her hair and skin. And then you got this castle-y looking place here. It's all, you know, it's all silhouetted. That looks nice. It's a nice, I mean, especially for a new guy, it's a nice balancing of the blacks. Again, she looks really young there. She looks almost like a younger teen there. I don't know exactly how old Rogue is at the time. You know, I was a teenager when this came out, you know, 14, 15, and I just assumed they were all right around my age. But I think Rogue was a little older, like 19, probably not 18 or 19, maybe even 20. You know, 'cause she kind of had a more of a past. I know Kitty Pryde, when she joined, was only like 13, so this might have been like a... I mean, comic book ages are weird. But I would say Kitty's probably 15, 16 in this. Most of the New Mutants are probably right around that age, high school age. I think Rogue's more early college age, just a little older. Just because she seems like she's been around, you know, got more experience than the younger people. That's a really weird drawing of Magic. Again, there's certain times, I mean, you can get drawing a panel, and some little drawings can get away on you, and you don't even spot it until way down the road, or somebody has to point it out to you, because you get kind of a tunnel vision and stuff. Nothing makes you feel worse than when you've gone all the way to the distance, all the way to the end, even gone into print per se, you know, and you spot a drawing that's very wonky. It's like, oh, it's just your heart just pulls down. You're just like, ugh. Like, oh, I can't believe I let that through. Love that Rogue silhouette. Love all that black costume. My eyes go right to it. They've got a little bit of going on here with Wolfsbane. Uh-oh. Nightcrawler's kissing Rogue. That only means one thing. She's going to take his powers. Oh, sorry. Afternoon yawning again. I got to run to the store, too, sometime soon here, so got to wake myself up. Oh, yeah, I remember this. This drawing, as a kid, this drawing was, you know, this was fuel when you were a teenager. But Rogue in that crazy costume, you know, showing her hips and stuff like that. Oh, that was the day. That was back in the day. And again, I mean, you can see, this stuff is, I guess, technically fan service, although nobody called it back then because, you know, anime and manga weren't really super popular at the time. So we didn't really have the phrase fan service. I think we just called it, I don't know, risque, titillating or whatever. I don't know what the best word to describe it was, but you can do this stuff. You know, they don't do any of this stuff anymore. They're so against. It seems like they're so adamantly against not doing any of this stuff in modern comics, and it's innocent. I mean, this stuff's pretty innocent. I mean, this stuff's for a teenage crowd, what do you think? It's a bunch of teenage boys reading this stuff. I mean, it's pretty innocent, I think. You know, I mean, definitely you can go way too far with it, but and I probably would, but yeah, I mean, there's certain people can seem like they can do it pretty tastefully and pull it off and keep it pretty innocent, but still at the same time make it appealing to look at. I mean, you can't. I mean, these girls. I mean, the guys too, but I mean, the girls especially. You know, they're wearing these skin-tight costumes and they're running around. It's just like you know, whenever they're on camera, you're going to have a shot. You know. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember this when Warlock turns into the Enterprise, or a couple of Enterprises. I think it's actually supposed to be panel coming forward. One Enterprise, he just kind of moving in the shot. Yeah. One thing I gotta say about Adams, and you see it a lot in this, is, I mean, he does have some. I'll pull back a little bit. He does have some open panels, and he packs a lot in his panels. His stuff is very dense. And remember, I don't know if you remember what I was saying about George Perez, how I'm not really liking how George Perez makes his pages and panels too dense. I guess it just depends on the artist for me. So I didn't mind it so much when, you know, I mean, how many panels are on that page? You got one giant panel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You said, hey, I need 7 panels on a page, and the first panel is going to take up, you know, 2/3 of the page. I'd be like, what? You want what? Oh, yeah, but don't worry. The bottom 5 are going to be, you know, these small vertical panels, and there's not much going on. Except for there's a bunch of people, you know, casting the spell in the first panel. What? It's like, oh, I guess I don't have to silhouette that or do that from a distance. So, and then you have these close-ups here. But yeah, when you see a script come in and it's got like anything, as I said, I try to tell my clients I do up to 6. I'm comfortable 6 panels, and you know, you say 7, 8, 9, 15 panels. I'm like, what are you talking about? But they did it all the time back then. I mean, this is a very dense page. You got what, 3 on the top row. There's 6 there. There's 9, 10, 11. You got 11 panels there. There's more than one character in those. I mean, granted, there's not a lot of background, but, you know, I just think I like to see the characters. I don't like to see a lot of long shots. No pun intended. Actually, that's not long shot. He's not in this. But, yeah, see, why not? And see, and this is the thing. I would get fixated on these like full out head to toe shots, you know, such that run vertical on a page, because they are very much like the Marvel Universe, you know. And so I like that when they put that in a lot of comics. Some people don't like that, you know. They go, oh, I'd rather see them posed or more in a scene than all these, you know, straight on shots that belong in a Marvel Universe. It's like, well, I like the Marvel Universe. I like those drawings, those straight on shots, you know. I'd like to see them a lot, so I don't have any issue putting them on a page, you know, in story form in a page. A little sketchy on that panel there. That was really sketchy. That's almost not that what's his face, Mark Silvestri is very sketchy, but I mean, he can get a little sketchy too, but that almost looks like a Silvestri panel there. Oh, excuse me. Oh, there's that waboom bada boom with Storm there. You know, using her newfound thunder god powers. And then, of course, I love the way the Hela. He makes her tall, like really tall, like, you know, like 12, 15 feet tall, which I always think is cool. And then he makes that headdress crazy big, you know, and then, you know, nice, slick, curvy body, and, you know, wrapped up in that cape with these lines. It's nice. I like that. There's that Pegasus. I see what he's going for. He's got the skulls in the mouth, but that's, I don't know, I find that a little off-putting. Maybe it's supposed to be. Nice posing of the horse coming down. Yeah, see, am I even going to get to the New Mutants? We're at 34 minutes. I have to gloss through the New Mutants. I think the New Mutants is even longer too, so I'm gonna have to gloss through that. Again, I mean, I'm more about the X-Men anyways, so that's why I'd rather spend more time because there's more Rogue in here. It's every time she's on a page, my eyes go right to her. I kind of everybody just kind of drowns out. I mean, even Rachel's shown a lot of skin there. Danny's got a lot of skin there, but I mean, and she's completely covered from neck to toe, and it's that silhouette. It's that stark black silhouette with her hips and the curves of her legs. Eyes just go right to it. I mean, obviously, I'm assuming that's intentional. The design of the character, and I'm assuming Adams or I think I think this costume. I don't know who designed this costume. If it was John Romita or Adams. I mean, John Romita kind of had her in like a bunch of different costumes. Every issue seemed to get a different costume. He kind of came up with that all black bodysuit with the, with the tank top or the hat, the whatever they call that, just crop top, I guess, or something, or just a half shirt, and then the belt. I guess that is John Romita Jr. I think Arthur Adams kind of took it to another level. It's a great panel. Really cool looking emoting on him. That's one thing I got to say is nice is he does good, even when his faces look kind of stiff, and a lot of people's do. He does a lot of emotion. You didn't really get a lot of like cartoon animated emotion on faces back in this particular time. It was kind of not until the 90s. I mean, like J. Scott Campbell really brought that into play. Even Jim Lee wasn't. It's not. Jim Lee's not really. It's more Campbell, and I think Adams really kind of did that more cartoony emoting. All right, let's go over to. Let's flip up this one here. Okay, so here's it was a double page spread, kind of folded over, for the cover of the New Mutants Special Edition. Great cover, real nice, iconic, some would say. Again, great first panel. I like all of this. I mean, it's a lot of work to draw all this stuff, and they're okay with just making it all. Looks like two different tones of blue. This is more of an aqua blue mixed with a true blue. Again, I used to know these numbers exactly, and I don't really even look at the Doc Martin numbers anymore. Now I look at more like the Roy G. Biv numbers. And I need to write them. I need to memorize them, like the basic colors I use. I mean, I use a limited palette. I use the Doc Martin color palette, just transferred into digital. And sometimes I've got to type in the color to get it exact when I go from one program to the other. I just need to make a master list and just write it down, just so I can memorize it. I just haven't got around to doing that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my afternoon sleepies really nail me. There's that classic panel with Loki on his mountain, and he sees Storm in there. Yeah, so this is before. There's Enchantress there, showing some leg, nice skirt. I believe that's Karma. She ends up getting transformed and then transformed back. That Storm face, it's very. I mean, I remember this very iconically, and that great profile. But remember, like I was saying with Storm, it's really easy to draw Storm in profile because you're drawing that mohawk. But drawing at a 3/4 view is hard to draw of Storm, and not that the mohawk's barely in it, but I like this drawing. And it sometimes now I'm older. I find that she looks too old and too harsh. But I don't know. I still like it. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. There's magic and pretty much a super string bikini there. She didn't really do it much for me back then as a kid. I really wasn't into magic. And Danny's, she's in her bathing suit here, but she doesn't even look like Danny Moonstar there. Sunspot. Sunspot's another cool character. You can just silhouette him out when he's using his powers. There's yeah, see, I mean, she just doesn't look like her there. She almost looks like, she looks old. Not old, but I mean, she looks like she's more mature woman than, a younger girl. Especially the face. I mean, you could make the the bitchy eyebrows without having her look super old. Um, One thing I gotta say about Adams is not afraid to draw bare feet, and bare feet can be just as complicated, if not more complicated, than drawing hands sometimes, especially at certain angles. And he doesn't really shy away from putting some toes on his characters. I don't know if he's got a foot thing or what, but this drawing here was on the Arthur Adams trading cards, and I redrew this drawing on the back of. They were handing out these lament boxes from Hellraiser. I think Hellraiser 2 was out at the time, or maybe I think it wasn't for the movie. It was for the Clive Barker Hellraiser comic book, and the comic book shops, like in the freebie areas, they're handing out these full sheets on bristleboard. Printed lament box, and it was black and white, and you would color it, obviously just make it gold or whatever. I think I made a few of them gold with a gold paint pen. Me and a couple of buddies, we would try to see who could make the best looking lament box, and you cut it out, you put it together. But the thing is, they were on bristleboard, and the back of it was blank. So I ended up grabbing a nice good handful of these every time I was at the comic book shop. And I used them to draw on. It's free bristleboard. I mean, bristleboard was expensive, and it's like, hey, this is free bristleboard, and it was like 11 by 14, I think, so it's oversized, but it wasn't 11 by 17. But I would grab the bristleboard, and I would draw, and I would, draw on it, and I ended up just redrawing a bunch of the cards, the trading cards, on these pieces of bristleboard, and then and then coloring with barrel markers at the time. Before Copics, we had barrel. I believe barrel morphed into Prismacolor, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I think that's how it went. But before barrel and before Prismacolors, they were just called, or before Copic and Prismacolor, it's called barrel markers. The company is BEROL, I believe. And you'd get them at all the, a Green's Art Supply store, and they had like a whole caddy display of them set up, and they'd have all the different colors there, and there's probably 150, 200 different colors. And they were pricey at the time. They're like $3 a pen. Now they're like, I think they're like $10 for a Copic marker now. One. They're like $3 back then, and so you didn't have a lot of them. My buddy had a set. Of course, he still thinks that I'm the one who left all his markers open and they dried out, and I'm not denying that didn't happen, but I don't think it happened. But maybe it did. We're kids, whatever. Anyways, he had a whole set of them, and I had a lot of them, but I didn't have a full set. Of course, he had to have that light peach for that skin color. I drew this one in particular, that Kay's Book Exchange I was telling you about. She used to put the drawings, we'd bring in drawings, and she'd put them up on the walls next to the posters and stuff. She had like a whole row of them going in there. And that was one of the ones she put up there. But the thing is, the sun would come through that window I was telling you about in the front of her store, and it sun bleached all of the drawings. So, all the markers faded on that. I never got it back, and I didn't want it back. I gave it to her. So, she had that drawing up there for the longest. I'm sure she probably, when she should close the store down before she passed away, I'm pretty sure she passed away. I mean, she had to by now, but I think we knew about that a few years ago when she passed away. But I think she probably took and kept most of those drawings that I gave her. I had a Unicron drawing. I did full barrel marker. It was really cool. Yeah, that was one of the drawings that I did. Let's see here. Oh, there's Longshot. Longshot does show up in this one. Okay. And then, or was that Warlock? I thought that was, I can't remember. I haven't read this in a while. Down to the necks on these. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna flip through this real quick here. This one is, I love that drawing there. But this is not, like I said, a lot of, if you really like magic and you really like Enchantress, there's a lot of her in this. I really liked also the thigh, way he'd draw the thighs, the muscle in the thigh real prominent like that, almost like a gymnast or a swimmer, and then come into the knee. I really like that. Like if you were posing a 3D model, you know, that would max the hyperextension of that knee to get it in that pose. I like that. But yeah, if you really like Enchantress and you like magic, this would be the comic for you. There's Danny there. She looks more like Danny there. See that nose I'm talking about right there? Or am I covering it? No, I'm not covering it. Blow it up a little bit. So now I'm covering it. Right? Wait a minute. Where did that go? Okay, I'm close to covering. But see how the nose is there? You know, she's got it's not necessarily a big nose. She just has a very long bridge to her nose, and it kind of comes in. And she almost looks like another person there too as well. But yeah, she's got that kind of. Whenever I draw her, I try to give her that nose. A lot of Loki in this too. That's right. She's Karma's transformed back. Mirage, I think isn't Mirage her, or is it Karma? Mirage is Danny Moonstar, right? And Karma was the Chinese girl. I can't remember her name is though. I always thought this was cool. You know, obviously Arthur Adams is big. Mecha and anime and stuff is starting to come about. You know, Robotech was 85. This is like right around that time. So this looks more like it was pulled. He was kind of emulating a little bit of the Daugrim robot from Fang of the Sun Daugrim. So yeah, we keep going here. It's nice. I like that. She's supposed to be kind of wicked, but she's got that wicked eyebrow. You know. He's drawn more of the teeth on her there. She's got that, you know, that bang that covers her face. I always thought that looks nice. Nice, I mean, nice, long, big, tall, leggy blonde. I mean, you know, she looks amazing there. This isn't really my type, personally, but I can't deny how stunning that looks. I like the darker skin, darker hair, more exotic looking girls. Than your typical all-American tall, leggy blonde. Of course, at this day and age, my age, you know, you take what you can get. Yeah, she's all beat up there. Looks pretty good for the gore and stuff on there. Again, nice face there. Nice thighs hanging out there. I always like that too. I like that pose. You know, Adams would always do these kind of either forward 3/4 or rear 3/4 poses, and then always have the kind of the hands at a certain angle. It always kind of looks nice. I like that. There's that one character. I can't remember what his name is. He's got a goofy name. Sim. That's what it is. Yeah, it's right there. Sim. Adams was a big Gumby fan. He actually did a couple issues, special editions of Gumby too. Or I think Comico or Dark Horse or something. So he did a Gumby there. He's just hanging out with her there. Kind of a flat butt on Magic there. Very inverted. First, I think maybe her hips are pushing her hips forward, kind of squeezing her butt together, but I don't know. I'm a big fan of that there. I think your hips need to be cocked out a little more. That's just me. Alright, so that was... it just kind of shows the... Okay, and then it goes in... Alright, yeah, so that's in order. This actually here is the Arthur Adams, Marvel Legends Arthur Adams. It's got... I can't remember all of it. It's in here. Let's give you a run. It gives you a rundown somewhere what books are. It's most of the Adams... annuals for X-Men. I think the Long Shot series might be in there. It was a big omnibus. But yeah, so definitely gone the distance here. It's 49 minutes, so yeah. like I said, I'm going to add this to my reading list and read it again. I'll probably even read the from cover to cover and read the Paul Smith stuff in the beginning. That limited series with it was Alpha Flight, right? Yeah, X-Men and Alpha Flight. Yeah. I just don't like it as much. It's not bad though. He draws Rogue real weird. He draws all the women a little weird. Oh, he has Talisman in there. Talisman is another Native American girl, daughter of two young men. What's his name? John Two Young Men, or I can't remember what the guy's name is. The other Talisman from, or the shaman from Alpha Flight. His daughter. Like I said, I like that look. It's very exotic. Exotic. Sounds creepy when I say that. Yeah, so I'm going to read this again, and I highly recommend it. If you can find this copy, pick it up on eBay or thrift books. I haven't looked for it on thrift books, so like I said, I'm really starting to dig thrift books, finding a lot of stuff at reasonable prices there. And I actually ordered that #1 of that first comic, Teenage Ninja Turtle book. I ordered it yesterday, and I got free shipping on it. So, and I think I got it for $18. So that's on its way. #2 they still have, but I also noticed that #2 is an acceptable shape, and I don't usually go for anything less than good. I mean, this thing's starting to fall apart. Some of the pages are starting to pop out of this puppy here. And I think this was considered good or very good when I picked it up. And it's still pretty decent. I mean, it's a perfect reading copy. Good bookshelf copy. It's been sitting on my bookshelf for a while. So that's the Asgard Wars, or Asgardian Wars. I used to always call it Tales from Asgard, but I think Tales from Asgard was another. It's another Thor comic, I think, called Tales from Asgard. But I always used to call this Tales from Asgard. And then when I noticed one day, I was looking at the cover, I'm like, well, it's called the Asgardian Wars. I always kept calling it, Tales from Asgard, but that's what it was called. Like I said, it's kind of a crossover-ish amongst the annuals and special editions and stuff and limited series. And this takes place during Mutant Massacre. This might actually be before Mutant Massacre, to tell you the truth. This might be the first X-Men crossover. I mean, outside of the Dark Phoenix, which wasn't really a crossover, it was a self-contained thing, but, or did it cross? I can't remember. But this is definitely one of those at the time. But this is kind of the one that's kind of glossed over. Like, there's no milestone for this. They didn't do a milestone version. Yeah. So, alright. It's probably the end of the week, isn't it? I don't know what I'm going to do next. Maybe that Ninja Turtles book will be in, and I'll do the Ninja Turtles book. I like to kind of space things out. There's also some Marvel superheroes, the role-playing game stuff that I haven't got to in the advanced stuff. I kind of want to touch on that a bit. It doesn't seem like the role-playing game stuff is really that popular. People aren't really paying a lot of attention to it. It seems like everybody likes the comic book stuff the most. The Turtles still seem to get a lot of attention. Same with the toys. Some of the toys aren't really getting a lot of attention. It's not that I want to just, keep giving you all the most popular stuff. I want to share as much of what I like with you as possible, but I don't like to, I don't like to go on a whole week spree and have nobody watch the videos, It's not going to build the channel very well doing that. So I try to hit at least a couple of hot buttons for the week to, to kind of draw people in. I'm not going to do clickbait. I'm going to start making, thumbnails and stuff for my videos, so it's not just me like in a weird position. But I'm not gonna do clickbait. I'm not a clickbait person. I'm not gonna put a big picture of some chick's ass on the screen. So gotta click that. I really get sick of that. That really gets irritating. Or you see this it's like, car accidents or some crazy thing. The most extreme things caught on camera, and it's just like it's such a photoshopped piece of garbage. And it has nothing to do with anything in the video. It's like, I'm so sick of clickbait. Don't get me started, because my blood pressure is going to go up and I'm going to get angry again. But just, there's so many things online that just, make me an angry fool. So, alright, well, I will talk to you guys after the weekend. Today is Friday, right? I probably not even recording this on a Friday. I'm probably record this during the week sometime. I'm trying to build up a cachet. Oh yeah, it reminds me. Next week I'll be around and I'll be posting Monday through Friday. However, I am taking off the 16th through the 22nd. I'm going to be out of town. I usually do a yearly vacation right around my birthday. Birthday's on the 19th of July. And I do, my sister comes into town from Arizona, and her and my son and I kind of do a yearly tradition of going somewhere in Michigan. I think we're going to try the Sagatuck area this year. We've done the North Michigan, Petoskey, and all that type of area a lot, with Traverse City. But I think we're going to do the Sagatuck area if we can get a hotel or something reasonable. It's really expensive out there. But we're going to go out and do our yearly thing. So I'm not going to be around. I don't have a laptop, so I can't put them on like a hard drive and bring them with me and post them from the hotel. I'm going to have to just have to wait until I come back. I might double up on the weekend before I leave and do Saturday and Sunday editions. And then, like I said, if I got enough of these cache, built up, saved up, I can just put a bunch out before I'm gone, so you can watch a few of them. But I'll be gone, and I'm not going to be posting any art on any of my art sites either that week. So it's one of my times to get away from it all and try something new. And then, of course, need a vacation from the vacation when I come home. But, all right, I will talk to you guys later. I'll talk to you for almost an hour here, so I will see you on Monday. Okay, yep, bye-bye.